What's going on, my couch family? It's me, Dylan, and we've got more news from everyone's new game they love to hate, Cyberpunk 2077. If you wanted to buy the buggy launch at the PlayStation Store, too bad. Pop a squat on the couch and we'll tell you all about it. There's a lot of news and it's moving quickly in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, and very little of it is good news for CD Projekt Red. If you've been frustrated at the state of the game either on console or PC, you're not alone, because apparently the developers are a little frustrated as well. A new Screen Rant article from Cody Gravel says that Cyberpunk 2077 developers are frustrated and angry with management. Let's see, it reads, a new report on Cyberpunk 2077 developers revealed they're just as frustrated and angry as consumers and have been voicing their displeasure, at least during one internal video meeting conducted earlier this week. Now, obviously, CD Projekt Red is beginning a lot of flack for the game as it stands now, but I think that some responsibility also falls on the shoulders of game journalism. The Screen Rant article goes on to say that Cyberpunk 2077's launch has been a complete disaster for CD Projekt Red, as the game is riddled with bugs on console versions, something that was deliberately hidden from fans during Cyberpunk 2077 review period, thanks to careful code management from the developer that saw only PC codes, by far the most stable version of the game, though still quite buggy, be distributed for review prior to release. Now, obviously, this indicates some disingenuousness from CD Projekt Red, but this also should have been a bunch of red flags for reviewers of the game, that they're only reviewing the PC code and that nobody had seen console versions. As someone who's been playing it on a literally $2,000 gaming PC, I've had very little experiences with bugs or crashes or anything like that. Every once in a while I'll see, we saw in our live stream someone in a T-pose, and after the second update I've started to see, as I'm driving around, my character will stand up with his pants off for whatever reason. But obviously people on the console and people on the PC are having very different experiences with the game. Even Ray has said that while he's on one of the oldest versions of the PlayStation 4, he also, while experiencing some bugs and frame drops, hasn't been having the game-breaking experience that many people are reporting. That being said, I have seen a bunch on social media of people discounting the experiences of people who are saying they are experiencing those problems. And we can't discount it if it's so bad that Sony is literally giving people's money back for buying this game. But the best part about this sleight of hand is the article goes on to point out that one staff member apparently asked why the game was described as complete and playable in January when that was a lie, while another was reported as asking if management felt it was hypocritical to demand its employees crunch to complete a game about corporate exploitation. It goes on to say that the Bloomberg report also highlights CD Projekt Red management's answers, which were, quote, vague and non-committal, about crunch practices, despite also promising to take responsibility about the previously mentioned January statement about playability. Now, we know in the past CD Projekt Red, with this very game, said they would not be implementing their infamous crunch practices, only to go back on that promise in September for a few months up until the release date. Obviously, the developers are also just people doing their job with the best of the circumstances that they can do, and apparently they are just as frustrated with CD Projekt Red's management as the majority of Cyberpunk 2077 players have been. At the end of the day, the developers are not the enemy. They are the ones who are going to fix the games. They are on our side. That frustration is also boiling over into Sony itself. There's a New York Times article by Derek Bryson Taylor about Sony literally pulling Cyberpunk 2077 from the store, which, as Ray pointed out to me, they didn't even do with Fallout 76. The article says, in a statement on PlayStation's website, Sony said it would offer full refunds to users who purchased the game through the PlayStation Store. Cyberpunk 2077, the company said, would also be removed from the store until further notice. They don't say this, but probably until it's fixed of all the game-breaking bugs and such. In addition, it continues, Microsoft, the company that owns Xbox, announced on Friday that it would also be offering refunds to people who purchased Cyberpunk 2077 through the Microsoft Store, although they have kept it up for sale. CD Projekt Red's response on Friday was that Sony's decision to temporarily suspend sales of the game came after a discussion with the company themselves. They apologized for not showing the game running on base models of last-generation consoles before it was released, removing the opportunity for gamers to make informed decisions about purchasing. A CNET article states that Microsoft, while still selling the game, is also following suit with Sony in offering refunds to customers who ask. The article goes on to say the game, which came out December 10th, has been widely criticized as having been released too early with many game-breaking bugs. In spite of the messy experience, reviewers praised the title for its intricate visuals and well-told stories. But gamers playing on older devices, particularly 2013's Xbox One and PlayStation 4, said the title is unplayably slow. Now, I think this is actually a little unfair to just say that the game came out too early on December 10th when it needs the context that it was postponed months from its original release date. I think people forget even the small outcry when it was postponed 3 weeks to December 10th, where people were freaking out and blaming CD Projekt Red, and then it's released in this state, and again, they're blaming CD Projekt Red. And at a certain point, they really can't win. They obviously have external pressures from people who want to play the game and buy it, but also from investors who have spent a lot of money over the course of 8 years to make this game a reality. Now, I'm someone who was able to avoid all of the hype and only decided to buy the game 3 days before it came out when I was watching Hulu with my girlfriend and saw a commercial with Keanu Reeves. And even then, I've had a lot of fun with the game. I've had a couple of bugs here and there that aren't terrible, but they're there. But again, I'm playing as someone with a very high-end PC, not a PS4 or an Xbox One. And there's a Collider article written by Dave Trumbore called Cyberpunk 2077, Devs Apologize to Players and Ask for Patience, where they point out that quote, the main problem comes down to the game's performance and graphical fidelity on your chosen system. High-end PC with maxed out specs, you're in good shape. Next-gen consoles like the Xbox Series X and the PS5, you're better off than most. Current-gen console or mid-level PC, yikes. It goes on to say, now one could argue that gamers in 2020 shouldn't be trying to enjoy a supposedly cutting-edge experience on old tech, and believe me, plenty of people have been arguing just that since release. You could also counter that the devs and marketing team of CD Projekt Red shouldn't have touted the multi-platform availability of Cyberpunk 2077, while also hiding issues of performance on base systems. One of the benefits of the next-gen consoles as they're becoming more like PCs is that console gamers are starting to learn about some of these concepts that PC gamers have known about for a while, such as solid-state drives versus hard disk drives, frames per second, things that they haven't really had to worry about since everything has been on kind of a base level with the console. But something console gamers need to realize is that things like ray tracing, lighting effects that are what really make Cyberpunk 2077 special visually, did not exist in 2013 when some of the consoles they're trying to play it on existed. And so trying to get new technology to run on old systems when they're not designed for it and didn't exist back then is a hell of a project to take on, especially when CD Projekt Red is trying to get this to run simultaneously on old gen, current gen, and PCs that range the whole spectrum. The good news is that the hotfix 1.05 for the consoles is out now, a few hours before making this video, and just looking at the notes, it looks like they fixed at least 30 bugs that prevented quests from either starting or continuing, but it looks like they've been fixing other bugs, including an issue with weapon crosshair persisting on screen that I've actually been dealing with, as well as performance and stability, although it just says multiple stability improvements, including crash fixes. So it did just release about 2 hours ago from the making of this video, so we'll have to give it some time and see how much of this actually does fix the problems on consoles. Is it going to be the hot fix that solves all the problems that people have up until this point? Probably not, but I think it does speak to the commitment that CD Projekt Red has to really make this game what it should be after 8 years of development. It's kind of the No Man's Sky problem again, because a developer that's been working on a game for so long can't really say, sorry guys, I know it's around the corner from being launched, but it's just not done. Would you please buy it so that we have money to pay back our investors so we can keep working on this game and make it the one that we want to be? Unfortunately, they have to hype up the game to, generate excitement and generate income. But apparently in CD Projekt Red's case, they were feeding specific bites of information to the media, and unfortunately the media is our only window into how the development is going. So on the one hand, it seems like CD Projekt Red may have been not as honest about the development of this game as they could have been, but I would argue also that video game journalism kind of failed us as well, because we've already had games like No Man's Sky, Fallout 76, Anthem that promised all of these things at launch that ended up not actually making it into the game. And I think it's just indicative of a further disturbing pattern of AAA titles and AAA companies continuously letting us down with broken promises and overhyping their product. But if this was an indie game that released it in alpha stages, well, what we have right now wouldn't look so strange. It would be analogous to an alpha build, an early access, that people who want to buy in early can and see its development as it goes. And that way, some people would be satisfied with a game that, while not necessarily finished, is playable to a certain extent, and CD Projekt Red could have been honest about the state of the game and eventually make it something that it should be. A lot of early articles after it was released touted how many people had pre-ordered the game and that CDPR recouped all of their marketing and development costs on pre-orders alone. Well, that doesn't really mean much a week later when Sony is pulling it from the store, Microsoft is issuing refunds until the bugs get fixed, and it's a shame that what was supposed to be the next big game is really only playable to some small number of people that have either a financially prohibitive PC gaming rig or one of the impossible to find next-gen consoles. But with how many updates CD Projekt Red has already put out for this game, I'm optimistic for the future, and I hope that someday, maybe not soon, we'll see, but someday people who are playing on older consoles will get somewhere close to the experience that I'm getting on my computer, because again, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think some things they may have overhyped, but unfortunately that's what we have to expect from AAA companies now. And it's a reason why indie games will always have a special place in my heart and Steam library. But with how much work has to be put into Cyberpunk 2077, you know there's going to be more news which you can catch next time on The Couch. If you made it this far, just wanted to say thanks. I'm Dylan, and if you found this interesting or found any value from it, please give it a like. Leave a comment down below and let us know what your experience of Cyberpunk 2077 has been so far, and whether or not you're playing on console or PC or which console or whatever. If you want to hear more news or reviews in the future of controversial games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Fallout 76, don't forget to hit that bell icon. There's always room on the couch, so don't be afraid to subscribe, but in the meantime, happy playing.